This is The Update with Sean Yoes.
Welcome to The Update. I'm Sean Yoes. Former Maryland Lieutenant Governor and former chair of the Republican National Committee, Michael Steele, recently focused the national spotlight upon the ongoing battle between Maryland and the state's historically black colleges and universities, an issue the Afro has been reporting on for nearly a decade, and I began reporting on personally in 2005. During a special edition of Reverend Al Sharpton's Politics Nation, Steele shed light on the October ruling of U.S. District Court Judge Catherine Blake, which found Maryland in violation of the U.S. Constitution for operating a system of higher education still rooted in segregation and in noncompliance with the Brown v. Board of Education decision of 1954. We'll continue to lead the reporting on this story in the pages of the Afro and right here on The Update. The 2014 session of the Maryland General Assembly is underway, and the plight of the state's HBCUs tops the agenda of the Legislative Black Caucus, an agenda which reflects the concerns of communities of color across the nation. The caucus is led by Prince George's County Delegate Aisha Braveboy. The agenda also includes economic justice issues like fair housing and a raise in the minimum wage, the treatment of ex-offenders, and diversity within law enforcement. I'll be reporting on this year's session for the Afro and for The Update. Up close this week. One of the most controversial issues on the floor of the Maryland General Assembly is sparking volatile debate across the country: the effort to legalize recreational marijuana use. Last year, Amendment 64 legalized recreational use of marijuana in Colorado. Maryland could become the first state to legalize recreational use through legislation. It will be an uphill battle. Here's my report for The Update. The 1936 anti-marijuana propaganda film Reefer Madness terrified millions of Americans over the evils of marijuana use. Much of that stigma connected to weed lingered for decades.
There was a racial aspect to it, the Reefer Madness. There's this quote by Harry Anslinger, and he says, "It makes Negroes feel like they're as good as whites." And that was in the official statement. In the state of Maryland, the ratio of black to white arrests on marijuana is about 3-to-1. In the city, it's 5.6-to-1. So me and you walking down the street wearing the same clothes, otherwise identical, you're almost 6 times more likely to be, stopped and frisked, for lack of a better term, than I would be. The first law regarding the cannabis plant in America was requiring Maryland farmers to grow it. They were required to grow it because it's such an effective crop. So I think we need to examine why we chose to make it illegal, and should it still remain that way.
When someone wants to purchase and use marijuana in Colorado, they get in their car, drive to one of the about 40 licensed retail marijuana stores that are open right now, show their ID to prove they're over 21, and they walk up to a counter where there's different strains of marijuana in little glass jars. What we're trying to do in Maryland, similarly to what we've done in Colorado, is take that existing underground market and place it behind business counters, place it in the hands of licensed, regulated business people.
Well, we can take cigarettes, for example, or alcohol. They both were illegal, and they legalized it. The marijuana that they talk about on television, they want to make you think that it's grown. The marijuana that the black people using in Baltimore is designer drugs. They are not just grown like any other drug. The consequences that we had to pay for trying to be like everybody else, but it's not the same across the board. There's no such thing as a chemical being harmless that's a mind distorter. It has short-term effects and long-term effects. We ignore those effects. Now we begin to think delusional because we don't want to accept reality.